Welcome to all you good people out there joining us for our NFL Week 5 DFS strategy and lineup build session. So we have to admit, we're coming off of a pretty successful week and we're feeling kind of good. Thinking we have our finger on the pulse of what's going on in the NFL this year. We're ready to go crush it. I mean, we are just so ready. But before GAB Sports, we are gentle and blissful, gifted and beautiful, generous and benevolent, and most appreciatively grateful and blessed. Guidelines to achieve and build. GAB Sports. Week 5. Yes, it's looking like another strong slate of chalk, where a lot of chalk plays are in some of the best spots on the slate, as was the case the past 2 weeks. But as we know, that can be that trap of just falling into playing all the popular plays, playing all the easy plays, and we don't want to fall into the traps. Yeah, we want to be able to zig when everybody's zagging. We want to be able to just, maneuver around everybody and get our way to the top. That's how we do it. That's our strategy. That's how we work. We're not trying to just come along for the ride, be in the same car with everybody. We want to be in a different car. We want to be in a Lambo. We don't want to be in that Mercedes. We want to be in a Lamborghini, Maserati. We're trying to go full speed ahead to the top. So let's show you how we're going to get there. All right. So coming off of week 4. So we want to just go ahead and look at one of our lineups that we built for week 4. Just a quick review. Yeah, and it was a pretty good week. This is actually my cash lineup. But hey, we're not the conventional everyday kind of a player, you know what I'm saying? So we look at the matchups and we believe in our strategy of picking out the best matchups for the week, and we roll with it. And logically, as you see this lineup here, you see a lot of 1%ers, 2%ers, 3%ers, 7%ers. That's unheard of for a cash game, right? Yeah, until you start to focus on what really matters, and that is opportunity. So basically, when I was building this cash lineup, which went into a lot of 50-50s and numerous head-to-heads, which I swept all my head-to-heads. So what we did, we looked at the matchups. We let that drive our lineup construction. We didn't just go by the chalk plays who were going to be popular, which were fine plays, but we also wanted to get an edge. And so we looked at matchups, like say with Ashton Genty, which happened to be my big difference maker that I used in this lineup, because I knew that he was in such a great creme de la creme spot, right? Going up against the Bears, who have one of the worst run defenses in the league. And the Raiders the Raiders brass had already been talking up about how they wanted to get Genty, 20 plus kind of carry workload. So I felt this was a spot, no doubt about it. His price was also dropping. He was down to 6,200. It was a no-brainer. And you see, I didn't have Hampton in this lineup. One thing I had feared about Hampton, I guess, if you followed my last video for week 4, the thing that was disturbing me about Hampton was that his line was really banged up, and he hadn't really been all that impressive to me so far. And the Giants had a lot of motivation, the new quarterback coming in. So there's a lot of things that I wanted to get away from Hampton, but he did end up crushing, actually, but it was on small volume. So maybe he got kind of lucky there, because his volume was certainly less than Genty's, and he still got there. And so we went with Bucky Irving, who I knew could catch passes, who I knew was going to be needed in order to compete against this Philadelphia team. He was also at home. So I felt that Bucky Irving was also a fine play. And then I had 2 punt plays, which allowed me to get up to my high-priced cash game studs in Puka Nacua and Christian McCaffrey. So I had to pay down in a couple spots. One of them was going to be the receiver spot, which is A.D. Mitchell, who was filling in for Alec Pearson. I knew he would be on the field 80-90% of the snaps. And at 3,100, I felt he can give me a decent enough score in order to fill in this lineup the way I needed to with my studs at the top. So I went with the 3,100 AD Mitchell and a 2,700 tight end and Tommy Tremble, who I knew was going to get decent volume. The Carolina Panthers had quite a few receivers banged up for this game, and including the tight end, Jatavian Sanders was out. So Trimble has been a vital part of their team for the past couple of years, and I felt that he would have a pretty decent role here, and it paid off. As you can see, he had 15 points. And so that allowed this lineup to go ahead and pretty much destroy all the contests it was in, the head-to-heads, as well as all the 50-50s. No-brainer, and I also put it in the GPP, which added to our return for the week, which was pretty much a double up on my entry fees, which we aren't going to complain about. And I was this close to really crushing. So we'll go ahead and look at one of the lineups I also had here that I put into a GPP, because we did go with a lot of this guy who I talked about, and he was my poster boy, and it kind of cost me, but we're not going to fret too much about that, because I took a lot of good stances on players that actually crushed this week, so I can't be too mad that the one of the players that I took a big stance on, which was Lamar Jackson, failed me in a big way, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. And what I'm more mad about is the fact that I took such a heavy stance on Puka Nacua, and I didn't have his quarterback in any lineups. So that's one mistake we want to shore up, because usually when you're in a spot where you're just taking a big stance on a player, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a receiver, that pairing that you're going to need, the receiver with the quarterback with the receiver, is something that probably shouldn't overlook if you're taking such a heavy stance on either position. And I overlooked that this week, and it cost me a pretty big return. But we're going to shake it off. Going to move forward because our process was correct. We just had one thing fall through the cracks, which limited our total return that we could have gotten. But we're not going to cry over spilled milk. We're going to keep rolling, right? Because if Lamar would have did anything, just anything, I would have had so many lineups just crushing. But hey, a little bit of a change that we want to look at as far as what we've been building, the kind of lineups I've been building on the streams today. And as you know, or may not know, for those of you joining us for the first time, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. And what we want to do is build more of the lineups where we know we need to eat right now. What I mean by that is I've been building quite a few large field GPP lineups on the stream so far. And so we want to take a look at what I really attack and what's really been getting the big returns for me this so far this season. As we started off 2 weeks in the negative, last 2 weeks we've been in the positive pretty good. And so what we know and what we've always been geared to are the 3 maxes, the 5 maxes, and the 20 maxes. And so we want to look at some of the smaller field contests, because as you're starting off in DFS, it's not good to just try to just jump into all these millionaire kind of contests and 150 max kind of contests, because those are going to take a lot of different type of bankroll considerations, as well as multi-mass entry considerations on how you got to do that. So what we're focusing on is getting in to the contests that I deem are winnable. Now, these could be contests that could, you take first place, you might get 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, up to 20,000, 30,000 for right now, right? These are the kind of contests that I'm focusing on, because I know that these are the ones that I can win and that we're going to win. We're going to take down one of these. Just keep coming along for this journey. I'm going to show you how to get there. And so this week's build, we're going to stick to that kind of strategy, at least on this first line of construction. Then we'll do a large field contest after that. But first, we're going to stick with a smaller kind of GPP, but not the super humongous fields. So one of the contests I identified is this $4 40K front four. It's a 20 entry max. So I get maybe 10 to 15 lineups and something like this. And so we'll go ahead and create a new lineup for this contest. This has 11,000, almost 12,000, just short of 12,000 total entries for the week. So knowing that that's the case, you aren't going to need to go super duper, what I call YOLO, which is like you only live once, right? Where you try to just hit these home run lineups with these very thin, low EV type of plays in your lineup, where, you know, the milli maker type thing, which even during the milli maker, you don't have to go total YOLO. But anyway, the point I want to make is that when you're attacking these type of contests where you got to beat maybe 10,000 or less type of entry fields, play your strongest plays. I mean, don't try to be too cute. You got to just play the strong plays, maybe have one little differentiating player, a player or two, you know, where you kind of go against the grain, go against the masses to uncover that play that may just be so far under the radar and you can get away with it. But the bottom line is there's a lot of strong plays that you don't have to be afraid of playing, even though they're going to be, you know, pretty chalky, you know. But there's also game environment considerations where these smaller fields may take a full game stack to maybe take one of these, where you don't have to necessarily smash every single play that you play in these game stacks, but you can kind of just game stack a 3x2, you know, 3 player stack with a 2-player run back. And that way you get an accumulation of points off of just one particular thinking of just, hey, I'll just stack this one game, get many of the touchdowns, a lot of fantasy points. And that way you didn't have to try to individually select all these one-off plays to try to get you there. So after these fields get smaller and smaller, you want to focus on things like this, especially as the season goes along. We start entering the bye weeks, which week 5 is the first of our bye weeks. And as you'll see, first week you have 13 games on the slate. Now we're down to 10 games over the next few weeks. There's like 10 games over the next 4 or 5 weeks or so that I've saw. And so that kind of consideration, there's maybe like less points available on those kind of slates. Not all the time, but if you size up a slate where the games don't look all that super explosive, there could be a lot less points available. It can be more concentrated to just a few games. And this is the time of the season, you know, when the bye week start, where there's some teams that aren't on the slate who sometimes will be those teams with all the, well, not all, but a lot of the super explosive, high octane players. They could not be on slates like this. So looking at this player pool, my first judgment is that this slate is kind of devoid of some of those top end plays. And so we don't want to really just spread the variance around too much. That's my strategy that I see for this week. I don't want to spread around too many plays. So the player pool sort of tightens in a situation like this, in my opinion. And I think that that's the best strategy to move forward on this kind of slate. So that being said, let's go ahead and see what we got on tap for this particular lineup. And one of the things I was really looking at are the 3 games that I deem the best games. Well, I'll put 4, but then I'm going to go ahead and eliminate one of them. You got this Detroit-Cincinnati game. Very interested in that game. You got the Dallas-New York Jets game. I'm very much interested in that game. You got Las Vegas-Indianapolis. Very much interested in that game. And then my sleeper game is Miami-Carolina. At this point, I think it's a little sneaky, but by the end of the week, the masses may catch up to it a little bit. But those are the games. Basically, there's 4 games that I've highlighted where I think those will be a lot of the great plays will come out. A lot of the game stacks will come out of. And so we're going to go ahead and build with this in mind. And so the first thing we're going to do is take off the other games that I want to eliminate right now, but I just want to highlight that those were the games I was interested in. And we'll go ahead and keep this game lit. Detroit, Cincinnati. We're going to start right there. High total, 49.5. Detroit's been on a roll lately. Cincinnati's kind of been, kind of struggling a little bit since the Burrow injury. But I think they have a chance to get back in a little bit of a groove here at home against a Detroit team that's definitely going to put some points up on the board. So Cincinnati has no choice. Either sink or swim. You either come out fighting, put some points up, or you're just going to get blown the hell out. And I think, they'll probably come out at home with a little bit of fight in them. I mean, you're the Tigers, right? The Bengals. Live up to your moniker, right? All right, so let's see if we want to start off with this stat, we're going to start off obviously with golf. And for some of these smaller contests, it's okay to do what's called an onslaught, all right? And I'm interested in an onslaught for this game. I won't do it in the large field contest, when there's maybe like 100,000 plus entries you have to beat. But in these smaller field GPPs, which I consider 10,000 or less, the smaller type field GPPs, I mean, you can get down to maybe 500 even, and this still will apply. An onslaught, it's probably even more valuable in those size fields, but we'll try one here in a 10,000 entry even. Since we have like 6 lineups in this contest, one onslaught, 1 or 2 onslaughts maybe. Okay. And the reason I want to do the onslaught this week, I really believe in just these few games. And so if I don't think there's a lot of points to be scored, I want to take all the points I can get from a particular game. So we're going to go ahead and do an onslaught of this game. So we want one running back. We'll take both receivers off of Detroit. And then we'll run it back with just Chase. Okay. I'm not going to run it back with no more than 2 players from Cincinnati, but I'm just going to take Chase only. And I would consider playing maybe Gesicki as well if Font is out. Let's see. Is he going to be out this week? Yeah, there's a lot of injury news to monitor this week. And so lineups may change later this week. Some tweaks here or there on finalizing your lineups. I would be very cognizant of that because there are just numerous injuries that we have to keep tabs of this week. And so Fonzie was limited this today, and meaning Gesicki could become one of the better plays if Font is out for a second straight week. He's not going to be like the greatest play. He only got 27 snaps last week, but I think he'll be a decent enough play, especially in a game environment such as this where it could lead to some fireworks or a shootout. Okay, so we got the 4 Detroit plays, the golf +3, and the Chase run back. And now we are down to 4,400 per player. All right, and by the way, there are some pretty cheap running backs we can use this week, which I don't mind using. One of them will be this guy right here. It's one of my top plays of the week. That guy right there, Woody Marks. Yeah, go ahead and book him. Book him, Daniel. So we got 4,100. Let's see, our tight end. We probably want to use a punt tight end. Our punt tight end will be I like Arroyo this week. Just as a YOLO type play. But again, with this kind of a lineup onslaught, I think I'm going to get a guy who at least gets some kind of volume. We may go back to the well and Trimble. Don't mind that one, especially if Jatavian's still ruled out. But I'm very interested in Taylor this week. He was limited with an ankle, but we'll go ahead and put him in the lineup for now, pending further news. I think I want to go 3 receivers, which is going to be a little contrarian to most all the builds are looking at 3 running backs. It looks like the early builds. Want to go 3 running backs, so running back in the flex, but I'm going to put a receiver in the flex. In fact, I'm going to put my poster boy. He's on the thumbnail that we have for this week, week 5. I'm going to put J-Mo on the flex position. All right, so that'll open up another receiver spot for us. And since this is a late game, we always want to put one of our late plays in the flex just in case there's something that comes up or you got someone gets scratched or something. You might want to make some late changes. You got that flex position to add some of your plays that you would have to swap in on any kind of changes. So this is the latest game of the slate. This game along with the Washington and Charger game. So we'll go ahead and put J-Mo in the flex spot. All right. So receiver, we want to go up to about 6,500, 7K pretty much for our receiver. And got a couple plays that fit that bill. We got A.J. Brown with squeaky wheel narrative. That's always a good option. We got George Pickens. We got Nico Collins. Got quite a few plays. Garrett Wilson is a one-off. I don't really want to use Garrett Wilson as a one-off due to the fact that Dallas, New York Jets game will be very, very popular. So I'm not looking to use him as a one-off. But there is a guy who I do like as a one-off. He should be pretty low on. That's Chris Godwin. Got 10. Did he get 11 targets or 10 targets? He got 10 targets first game back. Now, he probably was a little rusty. He only caught 3 of them. So I'm looking at that as he was just knocking off a little bit of the rust. But I can see that he should be ready to go here. And so we'll go ahead and slide in Chris Godwin. And now we need a defense to come along for the ride. We actually can get any defense we want due to our salary that we have left. Do we want to take the Cardinals or the Lions? How are the Ravens 3,400 on defense this week? I mean, they got one of the crappiest defenses in the league right now. We can go with the Colts, who just got rid of Xavier Howard, who's been just atrocious at the cornerback spot. So this actually might help their defense. Maybe we're going to use the Colts here. All right, we'll go ahead and use the Colts. So, again, GPP size, 12,000. These smaller fields, this is also an entry that I wouldn't mind putting in like a 3 max entry, a 5 max entry. These are the contests we're targeting right now. And this is the strategy we need to employ. We need to be thinking about game environments. Which game can explode to where I can just attack that game, and then I have half my lineup already built. And things go your way, you get most, if not all, of the touchdowns, right? And I think these full stacks like this, these onslaughts and full game stacks will be the way to go in a lot of my lineups this week. So I'm not going to shy away from that. We're going for the gusto, man. We're going to take an approach that maybe a lot of people aren't doing and see how it goes. I think it has the potential to do something this week. So there you have it. We got the Detroit. Book it. Okay, what else we want to do? Let's go ahead and jump on over to our other site, Underdog. We're going to do a couple of battle royal drafts. Let's go ahead and jump right on in there. All right, so we're up in a couple of moments here. Oh, we got the number 2 pick. Oh, I've been getting so many number 2 picks. It's been crazy how many number 2 picks that I've been getting of late. Let's go ahead and throw in a little bit of music here. Let's do it. Oh, we love Achan. HN is one of our strongest players this week. We'll take him 24/7. Got you, boy. We got you. HN to the rescue. Yeah, tough breaks with all the injuries from week 4. Yeah, it's going to damage my best ball portfolio a little bit. I have tons of neighbors, at least even with the field with Tyreek. Benson I had on the ready as the Connor replacement, and he's now out 4 to 6 weeks. Check the board. We see that 4 backs in a row got picked, which the backs are thinning out this week with all the injuries. So it might be a good strategy to lock a couple of them up. But I think I can still squeeze a few backs later in the rounds here. So we may want to go ahead and lock in a top receiving option. And I got tons of fields. Go ahead and lock in Nico against that banged up Ravens defense. We'll take him. Scatterbo at New Orleans, boy, he got 25 carries last week. He did churn out a few more yards, but we'll see. Take Scatterbo. Workload, man. He's getting a tremendous amount of workload. I don't think they're going to trust Dart to throw, over 25 times here. So it's possible he gets another 20-plus carry workload, Cam Scatterbo. Scatterbo season. Got like 20% of him, too. Yeah. Let's go. All right, we don't need any more backs. We got 2 backs, wide receiver. Let's highlight stuff we need. Igbuka, nope. Don't want Igbuka. I'm going to go with Godwin if I take a Tampa Bay receiver. Jaden Daniels. Oh, both his receivers are hurt. We don't want Daniels coming back first game. Dallas. Yeah. Who does Dallas have that I could use other than Pickens? Tolbert. Tolbert's in play. Got to know how to scroll down in these battle royals. Ferguson as well. Guy has a tight end already. Lime green energy. So we can go ahead and take Ferguson if we need to right there. If he makes it to us. And then we get Dak. Ferg Dak is a possibility. Or we go Tataroa McMillan. Ferg Dak's not available. So we're going to scratch Dak. Or do we take Dak and Tolbert? I think I can go Dak and Tolbert, man. Let's try something a little different. Yeah. Let's do that. I don't think many people will not have this. Not many people will have this, I should say. And sometimes that's your angle on these battle royals. Get what not many people have. I think we want to take our tight end right now. Laporta, Waller, Theo. I think I'm going to go with Laporta in that Bonanza game. Maybe he gets into the end zone this week. Yeah. Take Laporta. No doubt. We'll take Laporta, baby. And let's see what else we want to do. We got 1 pick left, receiver spot. What's going on with Turpin? did not practice today. Because today is Wednesday. Yeah, we make our stuff on Wednesday. And you know what? We're pretty much sold on a lot of our plays already by Wednesday. Because I'm already thinking ownership. You got to already be kind of projecting where the masses are going to go, even without seeing the ownership projections, right? But we'll go ahead and compare notes later, right? But I got my own thoughts on ownership, on what the chalk is going to be. So, and usually, you know, with my experience of kind of seeing these types of things, usually not too far off. So, the chalkiest play of the slate, Jonathan Taylor, easily 40%, no doubt about it. It's due to the lack of elite plays on the slate. At the very high end, there's not a lot of options. So a guy like Taylor with a heavy spread, I think they're -7 at home. That's ideal for running backs. And Taylor's been a stud, right? He's been a monster so far. So he'll be a highest owned player. He might not be the only dude pushing 40%, but he'll be one of them. You heard it here first. 40% JT. Play at your own risk or reward. So I certainly won't be fading him. But I like to get all my shares usually of the chalky dudes over here on Underdog because it's just all about draft position now, right? And I think he'll crush. I think he'll do well this. So I'm going to have some, even on salaried sites, where he should be pretty chalky. All right. So we're going to review this lineup out of the number 2 hole. Started off with A-Chan, one of our top plays of the week. Fortified him with Nico and Scatterbo. We go ahead and rounded out the backfield. Scatterbo and A-Chan. And then we went a little different direction with our stack. So let me get a Dak with his second or third option even. And so we went Dak and rounded it off with a Tolbert. Dak Tolbert. And in between, we took Laporta as our tight end. All right. All right, it's your boy, GAB Sports. Thank you once again for coming. We appreciate your support. Thank you for listening. Take the time to like, subscribe, comment if you like, and continue to follow us. Go ahead and follow us on X at GAB for Young. That's YUUNG. GAB for Young on X. Thank you. Thanks for your support. All right, 1 o'clock. Number 4 pick. Okay. Amon-Ra Hampton. Neither. Gonna go Garrett Wilson. May go running back late on this one. Don't mind going running back late. Kamara, Chase Brown, Demo, Rashad White. Yeah, we're going to add late running backs. We want the field stack. Let's see what's that at 18. Where we're sitting, 16. We're going to see if we can push him to the 18th spot or 16th spot. Is ADP being 18. May be able to get there. Often has, but we'll see. All right. I don't mind Saquon right here. He's Saquon, man. you can always get there. All right. Let's see who else is looking pretty good to get to us. Waddle, who should be stepping up into that Tyreek Hill role. Gruesome injury by Tyreek, man. His leg was just dangling like a chicken bone, like a wing. You know, when you snap the wing and try to, get both pieces of the wing, the flat and the drum. I mean, it's not funny, but his leg was just dangling there, man. Kind of gruesome. All right, we got our boy, JF7. We'll take that one. JF7, Garrett Wilson stack. Do we want to run back? Probably, like Ferguson. They get a ton of dump offs. Maybe gets in the end zone. I mean, this guy, Ferguson, he's not all that good. I mean, he just gets a lot of volume, but as soon as he catches the ball, he just gets tackled like right away. What is he averaging? About 7 yards a catch? Something like that, I bet. It's just a bunch of dump offs, man. But, just the fact that he's getting that kind of volume. Oh, I'll take Tyler Warren for sure if he's there over him. Oh, yeah, we'll take Tyler Warren, who's in the battle of the tight ends versus my boy Bowers. I wish my boy Bowers was healthy because he's not going to be able to show much when he's not healthy. So we got to go with Tyler Warren in that matchup. The battle of the tight ends. We'll take Tyler Warren this time, round 1. And doesn't look like we're going to get a run back. This is Javonte Williams. Unless it's Javonte. Run back to my New York Jets. Skinny. Oh, man, I love Woody Marks, though. Woody Marks this week. He might just blow the top off of this defense and get like on DraftKings because he's involved in the pass game. I can see 25, 28 fantasy points out of young Woody this week. I think people may be sleeping at this point. I don't know if they're going to steam him up by the end of the week. All the big touts out there. How about you guys don't steam him up this week, okay? Save them for us little guys who find these plays on a regular basis. Yeah, your boy uncovers a lot of plays, man. Understand that. Yeah, I find tons of plays. This one's not super hidden, but I'm just letting you know there are some that are hidden that I will uncover. Why? Because I'm diligent. Tons of research, man. Stay on the grind. Tons of digging, diving. We're gonna go with Javonte though on this one, just because I got a little skinny. Want some correlation in case the game does very well. So we'll go Javonte. And now we need a receiver, right? One more receiver. What's Debo's Q? Is it a real Q? He didn't play or didn't practice. Jacoby Myers? Yeah. You like that one? Jacoby run correlation. Is this guy going to go 3 receivers? He might. Mr. Mufasa, Lion King. Go ahead and pick your Detroit Lion then. There are none, huh? All right, but don't pick my guy. You can get Laporta. All right, we got Jacoby. We'll go ahead and take that one. Round that out. Jacoby, Tyler Warren correlation. Take it. A lot of people were on Jacoby last week. Didn't work. This is when you zig and zag, because since everybody was on him last week, they're probably going to have trepidation and a little nervousness about going back to the well on. So now we jump in and scoop the shares and we get the reward, because football is a game where there's ebb and flow. You know, there's all these ups and downs, spike weeks, down weeks. Nobody's going to just crush every single week, right? I mean, that's your Puka Nakua, right? But these are the kind of games you have to play with the masses sentiment. And you got to understand that you got to get in sometimes where you think they're going to leave, and then you got to get in before they get in. So there's these different kind of game theory tactics you have to utilize in order to stay ahead of the masses. So when people are on a play one week and it doesn't work, and they were kind of like expecting it to work and it didn't, they'll be kind of gun shy to go back to that play. But us who notice that, and you got to kind of be aware of these kind of things, you got to jump right in there. Yeah. It's like Drake London, right? There was like last week, everybody was like, man, Drake London, man, he sucks. He's off to a bad start. He's not worth the 12th pick in best ball. You know, you shouldn't have drafted him. I heard a lot of touts talking like that. And then guess what? He blows up for 28. He's in all the winning lineups. So you can't just go by narratives of people either all in on something that doesn't work, or they're all out on something that hasn't been working. That's when you got to zig and zag. Get in there where you fit in. Strategy. Strategy wins, man, in this game. It's not about your plays. It's not about your picks. It's about your strategy. And your strategy has to be a winning strategy in order to beat the masses. That's all we're trying to do. Trying to beat the masses. We have Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, rounding out the backfield. Tyler Warren, Jacoby Myers correlation for that Indianapolis-Las Vegas game. Yeah, pretty strong lineups. We'll go ahead and roll with them. All right. DraftKings, here we go. And so for that, and once again, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. Continue to support your boy, Young Moolahh. Thank you for joining us. Good luck to all in this week's contest. Peace. We're out.